Hey, how are you?
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to our
Yes,
second episode of Removing the Red Tape with Neek and Nat. Neek, how are we doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you, Nat? What's up?
I am doing absolutely well, magnificent, spectacular. Our second episode today, we're going to flip the script, and now it's Neek's
Yes,
turn to ask me a couple questions, and we're going to
yes.
dive right into it.
Okay, well, I read your bio and I don't think everybody got a chance to dig deep. Like, I'm so interested. Please share and tell us your journey into the real estate industry.
Absolutely. Thanks for asking, Nate. I'll start off at the very high level, give you the background, and then we'll dive in from there, see what you and some of the listeners have and what you guys are interested in. I started playing ice hockey at a very young age. I'm Puerto Rican. Ice hockey is certainly not in our blood, but let me tell you, I fell in love with the game very quick, fast, in a hurry. And from there, I started to realize how expensive the game is. We're covered from head to toe, and it's not like basketball, football, or any other soccer, any of these sports that you just need a couple items, a couple gear, and you show up, a park, you're ready to go. Ice hockey, you need a sheet of ice. You have to go to a rink. These are very scheduled times. The seasons themselves are very long. My senior season in college, I played college hockey in Massachusetts. I broke 9 hockey sticks, and they were all valued
Wow,
around
that's
that $300.
expensive.
Absolutely. So all that to say, it started adding up. I go off to college. As soon as I'm done, I retire. I hang them up. I have a job opportunity I can't turn down. And by the way, when I get back to work, I'm crippled with this student debt. I wasn't aware of it. I was just signing papers, this loan, that loan, anything to allow
Yes.
me to play hockey competitively. I made it out of this area, made it out of this state. I was able to play hockey. And then the student loan debt came. So as I start following the Dave Ramsey plan, those baby steps, I'm crushing the student
That's
loan
funny. I
debt.
actually went to one of his seminars, so I know
Did
exactly what you're talking
you?
about. Yeah.
Very good. It's great. I love the podcast. I was listening to it at any point and opportunity I had, whether I'm in the shower, I'm listening to the podcast, or I'm driving in the car, I have the podcast playing, and all those success stories gets me fired up. I kept working, I kept grinding. It was in my nature because of ice hockey and the sacrifices that we had to make to get to the next level. And
Right.
then as I started getting closer and closer to paying off my debt, I then started realizing I've had this, to use Dave Ramsey's term, the gazelle-like focus.
Mhm.
I then said, well, what's next? I didn't have a replacement for ice hockey. That left a big void in my heart and in my mind. I had all this money that I'm just pouring. Any income I have, I'm decreasing my expense, I'm increasing my income, I'm pouring it into this student loan debt.
Mhm.
What is after this? What is the next step? So I go to the Google machine and I start checking out what's next. Like, how do you make money? What's passive income? All right, let's passive income. What do you got to do? Royalties, affiliate income. All these things, they're not really clicking. And then real estate came up. I start looking more into real estate. I start Googleizing a little bit more of that. And then I come up with Bigger Pockets.
Ooh.
Bigger Pockets, fell in love with the forums. I created a profile. I start going through everything. And this is 2018. I took pretty much that entire year to start just researching as much information as I can, learning as much as I can. 2019, we bought our first rental property. January of 2019, I said, hey, we made the goal of saying, hey, we want one rental property by the end of the calendar year. We ended
Hold
up
on,
with,
let me stop you for one
oh,
second because I just
yes,
want to shout you out. Wait, so you started research in 2018
yeah,
and you purchased your first in 2019.
very true.
That is crazy. That just shows what type of personality you have. You're definitely a doer. Like that's the fastest, like from the time of research to actually physically purchasing. You took a giant leap of faith. I'm so proud of you. That's awesome.
I appreciate you sharing that, Neek. I appreciate you sharing that. It was a combination of the books I was reading. It was a combination of the support I had. My high school hockey assistant coach,
Mhm.
he's a real estate agent.
Oh
I
wow.
reached out to him and said, hey, I want to get into this real estate thing. He's been an agent 18 plus years. He took Caitlin and I out to a lot of these properties. And let me tell you, the amount of time he spent with us, the amount of support he gave us that confidence, all Bigger Pockets, all that confidence, a lot of the spreadsheets. I'm a spreadsheet guy,
We
and
know.
it helped us get there. But it's scary for sure. Making that first purchase and then spending the whole summer working on the property, it was a lot. It was a lot for sure.
So I'm just curious. So when you chose real estate, what was it about real estate that felt like it was a connection for you? Because this is a question that I feel like everybody has a different answer, but I'm always curious to know, like, what was it about the industry that was like, okay, I can see myself doing this.
Let's be real here, Neek. I saw money. That's it.
But
Right.
it gotta be bigger than that. I mean, we think about stocks.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
To start, in all
Okay.
honesty, right? In all honesty, to start, it said, okay, the Google machine said passive income. I want to increase my income, especially growing up. That conversation was constantly, we can't afford this. We have to change lifestyle. We have to make these decisions of where we live based upon how close we are to work because we can only afford a certain amount of commute or a certain car or a certain lifestyle. Vacations are limited or are the size of our family is limited based upon income, based upon the revenue, based upon how much money we have. So money was constantly, whether I didn't realize it at the time, money was constantly surrounding me as I grew. And real estate, the first step, without a doubt, it was how can I create financial success? And then it turned into, well, now we can build wealth using this tool of real estate and we can create generational wealth. But then as I got more involved, I noticed that there's a community associated with real estate as a whole where I can connect with different vendors and different companies and different business partners and lift each other up. And we can create these masterminds and these conversations and Neek, these podcasts to be able to give back to the community. And after I finished playing hockey, I did a couple years as an ice hockey coach where I was doing private lessons and I was coaching my own team. And there was a genuine desire and passion for coaching and for teaching. And real estate essentially became that. So to answer your question, it started with money. That was my narrow focus. And then as I learned more, I started opening my eyes to see all of the benefits that real estate as a vehicle could offer myself, those around me. But then also, every time we rehab a property, we're building the community itself and providing a home for someone to live in.
I wish I had a soundboard with the clap.
Let me hop
Cue
off.
in the clap.
I got fired up there. Ask some questions here. You're getting me all excited, Neek.
Yes, I love it. Money, of course, is a motivator for a lot of us, especially if we all have humble beginnings. And I know money is a tool. And one of the things that I've noticed about your journey, which you can talk more about your history, is tell us about how you came about to purchasing that first property. Like what? Because I know you're not a millionaire yet, anyway, or weren't in 2018. You may be now. We don't know, but. Tell us about like that discipline, that journey you had to get that first property.
No, it's a fascinating question, Neek. Let me tell you, it was the mixture of emotions. My coaching clients and a lot of the individuals I connect with, I tell them one of the most important things you can do when you start this journey is to start a blog, whether it's just internal and private to yourself. That's perfectly fine. If anything, that's most important. But there's times where I'll look back and I'll see the journal or the dialogue or the diary, if you will, of what I created or the process that where we started and where we came from, and seeing some of those notes of emotions, the roller coaster, right? Anyone that started their own business, or even if you don't have your own business, just imagine someone's taking that risk and there is no blueprint. There is no one telling you what to do. You are self-employed, you are the business owner, you are essentially doing anything and everything that you can to make this work. So to answer your question, there was fear, there was excitement, there was curiosity, there was stress. It was all of the emotions in this roller coaster to get it started. Mm-hmm. As we were looking at the properties, was able to find a lot of resources online from spreadsheets because really it's a numbers game and the numbers have to make sense. Went through the process of finding through the MLS. A majority of our deals are all found through the MLS and started plugging in those numbers. And every time we had the repetitions, we were figuring out market trends. We were figuring out where to find the information, who to trust. And in that process, we got closer and closer and closer till I'm actually sitting with my real estate agent. We're having the conversation about this specific property number one. And I keep remembering those Bigger Pockets podcasts saying, hey, your first one is your most important. It doesn't have to be a slam dunk. Let's submit the deal. We submitted the deal. We're going through the due diligence period. And I had a buddy of mine. He was our first HVAC contractor. He was a family friend. He's an absolute beauty. He's sitting on the floor in this house, and we're having the conversation, and I'm breaking down all these pictures and all these spreadsheets that I printed out. And at one point, he just gets overwhelmed and says, all right, you're already here, you're already committed. Just do it. And sometimes
Wow.
there's that little push that we need. And that
Yes,
was enough
salute
to
to
say,
your buddy. Yes, and
that's
you
it.
still
This
working
was
with
for
him?
my
He's
body.
awesome. No, for real, we need to keep people like that in our lives, like the ones who push us to do and grow and evolve. Because, like you mentioned, this journey is not easy, and you need those type of people in your corner that has your best interest and want to see you at your higher self. So I definitely wish, as he's still doing HVAC or no?
This was always, so first off, you're absolutely right. Those that we support ourselves around. Because at the
Mhm.
same time, when we say, Neek, there were us other people that are saying, hey, real estate's too risky, don't do it. Hey,
Exactly.
focus on your day job, don't do it.
Hmm.
Hey, avoid these things, stay away, right? But you're right, if we're around that support system that we need and that are like-minded, I mean, they're going to push us and we're going to push each other in the right way. To answer
Yes.
your question about the HVAC, he's no longer doing our HVAC specifically.
Okay.
It's always, that relationship has always been, hey, he's going to help us get started, but his
Hmm.
goal is not to be the HVAC guy and help us build the business. He
Got it.
did more than enough to get the ball rolling, and then he
Exactly.
was able to walk away and in an amicable manner. So
That's
everything's good.
perfect. Yeah, I think one of the things you touched on about your the B you we mentioned this a lot. Let's explain to the listeners or the viewers what BRRR is and bigger pockets. I feel like we are using those terms freely because we're so enamored in that culture, but I don't think a lot of people know what that's about, what that world is. And just tell us your insight, like what the bigger pockets was and how of a successful resource that was for you on your journey.
Great. So 2 points. The BRRRR, so 4 R's, is an acronym coined by the one and only Brandon Turner. Brandon Turner was one of the original co-hosts of the Bigger Pockets podcast. Bigger Pockets is a community, it's a website, it's a mobile app that combines education along with the community itself, all within one location. So if we log into biggerpockets.com, you'll be able to find forums where we can ask questions to members and guests all throughout the country about specific terms, about specific locations and markets. Any question you have regarding real estate, they're able to answer that. They also offer other educational tools, calculators, things of that sort. So when
Yeah,
I
because
first
you mentioned it. I'm sorry to cut you off, but you mentioned a few times like you keep plugging the numbers and you use MLS. Was that one of the tools you got from them? The spreadsheet you talk about famously throughout this conversation?
No,
Is
thank you
that
for asking. That for me, I built the most confidence when I understood the numbers behind it.
mm-hmm.
We can plug in numbers, but if you don't truly understand what numbers you're plugging in and how the numbers work behind the scenes, you won't really be able to understand and truly 100% feel confident in the numbers that spit out after you're
Right.
done plugging in all the numbers. For me, it was, I didn't build the spreadsheet from scratch. I was able to leverage spreadsheets and other information from others. And once I got the basis spreadsheet ready, I started making modifications to make it best for me and my business. So for
Wow.
example, certain calculators from Bigger Pockets, you have to start over every single time. For me, my
Mm.
numbers don't change. My fee to the property management company is
Mm-hmm.
still going to stay the same. If I'm doing a BRRRR property or a BRRRR project, my vacancy and my rehab and my CapEx are all still going to stay the same. My interest to my hard money or my private money lender is all going to stay the same. So there's certain information
Wow.
that I don't want to and I shouldn't include every single time. It should be as simple and as efficient as possible. So as of right now, I have the spreadsheet where I have multiple tabs at the bottom. I enter in I believe it's 4, maybe 5 inputs, data inputs. And then from there, I go to my tab. I see all the information I need to see in the order in which I need to see it.
Right. That's awesome. So I know you're dynamic at what you do, and one of the things you just started was coaching. So I'm just curious, like, how did you kind of pilot to say, like, you can be a leader with this type of information you gather and experience? Is that something that someone kind of gave you that idea, or is that something that you felt compelled that's a calling on you?
I'm going to say all of the above, not only because you offered such great options. I want to say all of the above. It
Okay.
started with that diary. When we started this journey, Caitlin and I started rehabbing these properties. We started doing the analysis. We started building that portfolio. And throughout that process, I was jotting down thoughts. I was jotting down stresses. I was jotting down future visions and goals. And as I continued going, I realized I'm also making a ton of mistakes. Neek, the amount, tens of thousands of dollars lost, gone,
Right.
solely because of mistakes I've made. And that turned into, hey, I'd like others to avoid those same mistakes. I'm a massive proponent when it
Right.
comes to, I don't have to make the same mistake to learn. I'd rather learn from the mistakes you've made so I don't have to make the same mistake. And that's where
Exactly.
that coaching came about. I said, hey, I have a specific skill set. I have some experiences here. I've lost tens of thousands of dollars. I call it the cost of education or the cost of tuition. I'd like to give back. I want to help because real estate, there's so many opportunities, so many options. It's unwise of me to retain or selfishly keep any of that information. It needs to be shared.
Right. I think just knowing your story, I don't want to be, because there's so much information me and you're going to uncover throughout this journey. But one of the things that I felt like as I've dealt with several investors throughout my tenure and why I felt compelled to work with you is because we share similarities in where you're a doer. And you believe in taking experience and education and all those good things and really pushing forward to the next level. And one of the things why we joined forces with this podcast is the amount of growth you had. And you said you bought your first property in 2019 from learning about the opportunity in 2018. Today, 2022, mind you, the COVID pandemic was at its worst 2020. 2022 today, where do you stand with your portfolio? Like, I'm sure the readers or the listeners, whoever is out here, would like to know.
Yeah. Today we are at 13 rental properties. The thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, I lied to you. Let me take a quick step back. We're at 12 today. Actually, before we started recording, we are under contract for number 13. Yeah. We purchased our first five 2019, our next five 2020, 2021, pandemic, everything, all
Oh my
that.
God. I
That
feel
was
so
wild.
bad. I mean, because I have such a invested interest in your fiduciary success, I know the ups and downs of working with you. And I just was like, Dad, you didn't even get the real good part of the industry. Like you came in right when I feel like we reached its peak on the rental investor side. But the good thing about this industry, that and this is more about your journey, but I like to kind of throw this out there because the one thing that you touched on earlier, how you was interested in the money with real estate and generational wealth. The benefit of real estate is that even if you may lose money from all the judicial cases and dealing with the red tape, you have potentially built equity in your portfolios and you built so much leverage by having as many properties you have that you have padded yourself pretty well to kind of survive the worst of the worst. Like we're kind of swimming out of the COVID mess bit by bit now. But just the fact that you're still passionate about this industry after surviving what I would say in my career, I've been doing this for over 16 years now. This has probably been the worst season for an investor in the past 2 years. Yeah.
I couldn't agree with you more. What's the adage in real estate? The best time to buy real estate is 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Deals that were in 2019 when we first started compared to where they are now, it's completely different. And you're right. What we back then, what I would see a distressed property selling for 40, 50, 60,000 is anywhere from 70, 80, 90,000 now for that same distressed property. But the only thing that's changed is, a couple of years. And to your point, interest rates, the eviction process, and everything going on within the city itself, there's been a lot of changes over the last 2-3 years that is making it more difficult. Not impossible, just a little bit more difficult. So you really need to know what you're doing. And there's times where I hear those investors or future investors, newbies, say, oh no, I'm going to wait until the market crashes, or I'm going to wait until this, or I'm going to wait until that. And you mentioned it a couple of times. Yeah, we got to do. If we're not actively doing, if we're not actively learning, if we're not actively researching, then by the time we say, oh, now it's time, which no one can truly predict what's going to happen in the future, by the time it's go time, there's going to be seasoned investors, or there's going to be people that have been getting ready and staying ready, so that when it's time to strike, they're going to strike right then and there.
And it's definitely what I consider a marathon, not a race. So I think the key point of this episode is just starting, taking initiative. When you get planted that seed, just go out there, jump out there. And I definitely think, even though you came in on a tail end, I always say, no, how low you go, the only thing you can do is go up.
That's
And
it.
that positive attitude you have has actually helped me weather the storm. Like I took the COVID time myself to kind of do my best to please owners like yourself and evolve as a property manager and leverage anything I can control in my power to help you guys weather that storm. And I think I wouldn't have been able to survive without somebody like you on my team. It's like a mindset and just a positive person. And you do provide like good constructive feedback all the time. You're always engaged. And I think as a coach, people would definitely like, I know for me, that's not a calling or gift for me to coach people. I'm more so I get very stuck in my head when I feel like somebody isn't absorbing information at my level, at my speed. So I've been really blessed that you've taken the opportunity to decide to coach because I feel like that is a calling and gift for you. And I think under your leadership, you will really help people like yourself really build. And your education, your spreadsheets, like you'll take anything and add value to it. Like I just love that you try to create a system that maybe was not designed to be where you can scale so large in such a short time throughout the worst time of the year. Like I feel like the sky's the limit for you right now. Like you can probably do anything. Like
That's at least what I tell myself in the mirror every morning, huh? No,
so
you're
I'm just excited about this journey for you. I definitely can see you as a phenomenal coach. I think what are some things to wrap this up because our time is probably cutting a little short. But I'm just curious, like, what are some things your clients could benefit? Like, is you provide them with resources, toolkits? How involved are you throughout your program?
Oh, amazing question. Thank you for asking. For the programs that I offer, it's split up so that we have multiple offerings that really fit what you are looking for. Right. My goal here is to make your job, your life that much easier so that you can achieve the success that you're looking to achieve. There's a start of a DIY package. So, for example, it's a do-it-yourself. I will provide you with all the resources, everything that you need, and explain it to you in just a 1-2 hour conversation, and I'll let you take off and run with it. And then we have two different packages that are broken up between a premium package and then another package that basically says we're looking at a 90-day program. And this 90 days can certainly be extended, but we're looking at a minimum of 90 days where we're meeting once a week. And that once a week conversation is going to be over Zoom. It's going to be recorded so that you have access to it in the future should you want to look back at it. I provide you with the notes and a coaching welcome. So the idea is that you're provided with the resources, the same tools, the same websites, the same resources that we use in our business every single day. I'm going to share that with you.
Wow.
So not only
So, not to rush you along, but I'm
yeah,
just curious, what type of reason, like, so let's say I'm going to be an investor and I don't have a lot of information, but I know in my mind this is something I want to do. What would you say before I come schedule a call with you? What is like 5 top things that I need to have in order before I'm ready to meet with a coach like yourself?
love it. I offer a complimentary session. So the first thing I would say is give me a call. I have a calendar link set up that allows you to schedule the time that works best for you. We get into this call, and before the call is actually scheduled, there's a couple questions that are asked for you to get your mind wrapped around and have a better understanding. And in that call, we can talk about those specifics, what you're looking to achieve, and what plan we can customize so that we can help you achieve your goals. For you, for example, if you're coming in saying, I'm not sure if I'm ready, I'm not sure if now is the right time, it is. Because just in our previous conversation, real estate, the interest rates are rising. Investors themselves are becoming more and more knowledgeable. They're becoming more excited to invest. They want to invest more. When you're ready, or even now that you're considering scheduling and signing up for a complimentary session, or you're thinking about, hey, I'd like to invest, where do I start? It's a couple things. One, take a look at what your goals are. Would you like to flip properties? Would you like to stay in rentals and build that wealth? Look at it like a three-legged stool. It's really time, hustle, and money. You don't have to have all three, but as you're looking at your background, your experiences, your skill sets, start thinking about, hey, do I have a lot of time? Do I have a lot of grind, a lot of hustle, and I'm willing to do the nitty gritty and get certain things accomplished so I can achieve my goals? Those are the things I would say start thinking about. And from there, let's connect, because we can get that ball rolling. We can have that conversation started and get you on your way.
Wow, that's awesome. I think just to kind of wrap things up, we're going to go more and more in depth throughout the seasons or episodes. But one of the takeaways from this episode was do it. get it done, have great people in your corner. I don't even know if we touched on this as much, but what I got from you is that mindset piece. Having a positive mindset, positive energy is really what it takes to you to level up. And I don't encourage everybody to use that example to think that that's something that you should strive for, unless that's a goal and you personally know what's vested. He was willing to take that risk, as he mentioned. He was a little bit modest, but he lost a lot of money to get this type of experience. So if you're not in that position to take that loss, it's okay to take your time to get more information. I think a lot of investors that I work with, one of the things is they become landlords accidentally, or they think they can do investment by just buying like a shell property and expecting a human body to live there without building a reserve for emergencies and stuff like that. So I think what we should encourage people to do is go at your own pace. This versus between you and your old self. And I think at the end of the day, it's really about your mindset, what you want to contribute. Building a community, that was one of my favorite things that Nat said. And I can't really dwell on too much. I usually have like a takeaway of like a quote or something like that. I didn't come prepared tonight, but, or good morning, whoever, whatever time you're watching this. But I want to just kind of recap what we talked about today. And I hope that this episode inspires any of our investor friends out there. If you were considering getting into it, you don't know where to start, Nat is a great resource for you. And his information will be provided along the bar. And then once you get with him, you can kind of come over to Property Wise, and we're definitely your high level management team. If you're looking for a white label type of service, we provide that. You can be as hands on or as hands off as you like to be. And I think one of the biggest lessons is having the right people in your corner. So you definitely want to get with those people who kind of work through the experiences and the heartaches and pain. That's it for removing the red tape. See you guys on our next episode, and we're out.